Did we?
For the agenda.
Oh, yeah, you like it? No, what that is a label. That's just a label we printed and stuck them on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, stuck it on the original copy and then made copies.
Oh, okay.
Does that help out?
You dang right,
Okay,
man.
good. I figured that was, you know, when you have 20 agenda items, if we did a cover sheet for each one, there's 20 extra pieces of paper.
Yeah.
If you just stick it on the corner,
Yeah.
that at least breaks it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. I know I'll get here from this.
I do the same thing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mine's even worse sometimes. I'll be digging through, especially when you have new resolutions like that, one that's got a number.
I wish I'd had.
You did the last one. You did great on the last one.
Yes, I did. You told me to do that.
Well, there you go.
Well, I guess I don't wish it.
You did great on the last one. Ron.
Did I?
You did. You did great on the last one. Yeah.
Good. I think so. Sounds good.
A lot easier to follow.
Good. I hope so. Hopefully that'll be nice and easy. You see the closed session? Whenever we get to that closed session, all you have to do is read that right there.
I got that.
That's the whole statute.
I got that.
So that'll be your proclamation. So I've got that covered.
Yeah.
I've got an original copy of that proclamation. So sign it.
Sign it.
Yeah, just in case somebody's ready to come pick it up. I don't know who to pick it up from, but somebody's supposed to be coming.
Okay.
Thursday, regular council. Let's think about the day.
Well, I didn't know you reminded me of what day it was.
That's
and all
right.
that stuff.
I'm just telling you what day
I
it
wasn't
is.
sure. Okay, I'll take it.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
Is Mr. Jones going to join us? Do you know?
I don't know.
Out earlier. I went in with the email because I hadn't seen the agenda.
Oh.
And I went in there and I went and I opened it up and I hit print and it said 100 pages. I said, no. No. I hadn't even looked at it. I said, no, I'm not even dealing with it.
It's
I hadn't even
fine.
looked at it.
It was 100 pages.
I know.
It's mostly because of the contract, so that's why they're so long.
Well, one of the girls that works for me, because I had pulled it up and I hit, like I said, I hit print and it said 100. I just
Said
said,
pull
she
the
busted
seat
out
or
loud.
something. Shut it down.
I said, I'm not even fooling with it.
Ain't even gonna do it today.
Right.
Three, but I think we're gonna have some more.
Okay, bring them on. Bring them on.
I'll make copies. First draft I had. That's the only way we can go up when we go to executive session. You gotta get.
That's perfect.
Thoughts.
Sure.
How you want it?
Okay. I love it. Yeah, and I've got something. So.
You all right?
You're doing good?
Good, yeah, good.
Is Patty still out of order? She's still not working?
She's at the beach.
What?
She's out of town.
Perfect, thank you. All right. Another one there. He was here earlier. He picked his packet up. He waited till the day to pick it up.
Let me say, if anyone really wants to address the council, we have cards that are available. Our clerk can provide you with them. They're also outside in the lobby. But it's a card that'll give me the information I need so that I can call on you. So if you want to address the council tonight, please fill out one of these cards and pass it on to Robbie, our clerk. Looks to be like 7 o'clock. Let's call this thing to order. We'll start with the, pardon me. We'll start with the call to order and a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
I will. You do.
You gonna do it, Jim?
I will.
Mr. Rigsby will do our invocation.
Please bow our heads. Dear Lord, you've given us a great day to come together as friends, citizens, neighbors, and fellow countrymen. Let us remember this week was our most sacred time in our lives with 9/11 and the gentlemen and women that perished during that event. Please keep them and their families in our prayers. Make sure that we always remember that we are Americans and our country comes first. Amen.
Amen. Review and adopt the agenda. Gentlemen?
Mr. Mayor, I have one thing. If we move item number 14 behind item number 10, it'll actually just flow better from a couple items I'd like to speak to.
You want 14 behind number 10.
Yes, sir.
Any other changes? Any other objections?
I'll move to adopt the agenda with that one change.
Jimmy? Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy? Aye. And I am also aye. Consideration of a proclamation of recognition of the Constitution Week. Pretty simple. Whereas September 17th, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Mike Crawford, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Stokesdale in the state of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2023, to be Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms and guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the great seal of the Stokesdale, North Carolina, to be affixed on this document on this 14th day of September in the year of our Lord, 2023.
Thank you, Mike. It was well read and well written. I'd like to recognize and thank Miss Maria Adams with the Moms of Liberty organization. She dropped off, I believe, it's a big box of pocket constitutions right here, and Robbie has those. I've got mine right here. So thank you, Maria, and thank you to the group as well.
I make a motion that we adopt the minutes from the closed session of November 10th, 2022.
I second.
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
And I am also aye. I make a motion that we accept the closed session minutes from November 29th, 2022.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
And I am also aye. I make a motion that we accept the closed session minutes from December 8th, 2022.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Jimmy? And I am aye. I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the called meeting of January 5th, 2023.
I'll second.
Aye.
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 And I am also aye. Make a motion that we accept the minutes from January 12th, 2023, regular town council meeting.
Second?
Aye.
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 And I am aye. I make a motion that we accept the closed session minutes from July 13th, 2023.
Second?
Aye.
I'm aye.
Aye.
And I am aye.
Mr. Mayor, did we skip November 10th, or did we get that?
We got that one, Jimmy. I believe that was the first.
Yeah, that was the first
Did
one. Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay.
What I'd like to say is, I'd like to commend our clerks for getting these things up to date. They're doing, from what I can tell, they're really doing a very good job of getting the minutes, and so that we can do these things in a timely manner, and we don't have to search our memory for everything else. But thank you, clerks. Public safety report, Stokesdale Fire Department. Who we got here? Hey, Randy. Anything from the sheriff's department?
It's in your packet, yeah.
Randy Southard on behalf of Stokesdale Fire Department. Thank you for inviting us this month. For the month of August, we ran 88 calls, so we're sticking pretty close to our average, which keeps us around 1,000 and a little bit better calls each year. We ran 43 medical-related calls, 15 fire-related calls, and 30 other calls, which is a pretty broad category that covers everything from locked cars to animal rescues to anything that we don't have a specific code for. This month, our reminder is kind of a unique one, something you don't hear too much about, but it's about clothes dryer safety. I suspect most of you have a clothes dryer in your house that you don't think much about, as long as it dries your clothes. But we would remind you to periodically check the outdoor vent to that dryer, because it will build up some lint, and if the air can't get out, then it's going to be trapped in that dryer. We would remind you to keep the area around your dryer pretty clear, keep cardboard and stuff that would burn if that dryer were to get too hot away from it. And many folks wouldn't think about it, but we would suggest that you keep clothes that you've worked in outside, if you were around a gas-powered motor of any kind, outside until they dry out a little bit before you bring them in and wash them and dry them. Both the washer and the dryer create heat. So anytime you put fuel with heat, you run a risk. So that's our report for this month, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
From the sheriff's department, we have, of note, on 8/21, deputies responded to a residential breaking and entering in the 8900 block of Osage Road. Investigations ongoing. Burglary residential, there were 2. Disturbance, 2. Alarm, 28. Domestic, 7. Weapons, 2. Warrant, 1. Hazard, 1. Drugs, 3. Fraud, 3. Missing person, 1. Accident, 4. Other, 99. Suspicious, 24. Vandalism, 3. Theft, 2. Trespassing, 3. Administrative report, Mr. Wagner?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, before Robbie launches into that report, I believe he laid a document for a DOT meeting that's going to occur here at Town Hall on the 25th.
Yes.
Not to undermine Robbie's report, but I would like to make special note of this, the occurrence of this meeting.
Let me do that. I apologize. I overlooked that. I meant to do that in the beginning. But there is a meeting concerning Highway 65 and Highway 68, North Carolina DOT. They're holding the meeting here in our town hall on Monday, the 25th at 3 p.m. The public is certainly invited, and would greatly appreciate any and all feedback.
Is that the public at 3 p.m.?
Yes.
It's
I read-
5 PM, Jimmy.
Mr. Mayor, the note we got at the fire department suggested that the public meeting was 5 to 8, I think.
Yeah.
I reread that a little bit after some, and it does say the 3 o'clock's for public officials, but it also says on the 5 o'clock it says you can attend this as well. So I think it leaves that inference where you can go to both, but the 3 o'clock's gonna be more for the town. But you can still come if you want to.
That's right. But 5 o'clock
ma'am.
is the
It does,
larger.
it does say that, 5 to 7.
Okay, because somebody sent me a notification, and the second one was gonna be where people could submit comment and everything. I think the first meeting is just for us, it's gonna be hard for me, but to be quiet. And I think the later one is where people can ask questions and get answers.
But I think you're still welcome to come to the first one if you can be quiet. But you're welcome to come to it, but I think that's the way I read that though, as
Or
well.
maybe stay home and watch your Young and Restless or something.
But we'll make sure you're the first person on the, we'll make sure you're the first person on the public hearing so you can get it out.
No, I'm gonna come sit on your lap.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think I gotta work that day.
Okay, so we have it clear, the general public is welcome from 5 to 7. You're also welcome at 3, but you probably won't get a chance to speak. But from 5 to 7, I think you'll have a chance to speak.
That's right. And also, one other just point was that staff did ask the DOT to share any update they had on the potential northern bypass on Highway 158. And the DOT said they would not be speaking to that project at the time.
It's not included.
Presumably, that's far down the road, but at the same time, that is still a open project with the DOT. But they don't plan to speak on it at that time. But I would still encourage questions on that one, and I'm still going to ask myself. So,
Mr. Wagner?
Yes. For the administrative report, let's see, I'll start with the water report. So we had 7 water meters installed, 44 water meters are in stock, 12 applications for transfer of service and water meters are in, 15 water meter applications on hold for builders, 18 work orders, 84 811s, 784 water bills were mailed out today, and 13 shelter rentals and meeting room rentals in the chambers for July and August. And for the admin report, this goes back to the August 10th meeting, so just an update, basically everything that's happened since then. After that August 10th meeting, we were able to mail out signed copies of the 2 resolutions that you all passed regarding the casino in Rockingham County. That went to 9 recipients, and then we also emailed those 2 resolutions to 178 recipients, both being associated with Rockingham County and the North Carolina General Assembly. Earlier this month, town staff submitted the Solid Waste Management Annual Report to the NCDEQ. According to the information provided by GFL, who is the service provider for this area for garbage and recycling pickup, for the 22-23 fiscal year, there were 2,814 residents enrolled in trash pickup, with 1,802 tons of trash being collected, and there were 2,143 residents enrolled in recycling pickup, with 425 tons of recyclables collected. We submitted a monthly contribution summary information report to the retirement system for all full-time staff members. We've completed 6 sets of minutes for your consideration and approval this evening. We've prepared detailed financial reports for the general fund and the water enterprise fund that'll be presented by Mrs. Thacker later on this evening. We've worked with the DOT to prepare 2 resolutions for your consideration tonight. One for the addition of Pond Court in the Meadow Ridge subdivision to the secondary road maintenance system, and the other for the addition of Cornelius Court, John King Lane, and South Point Drive in the Boone Meadow subdivision to the secondary maintenance system of the state. And that's it for the admin report.
Robbie, I got one question.
What you got?
We had discussed this week that GFL, the trash, our trash provider.
Yes, sir.
The bill for July was supposed to go up 5%, and that's, the 5% is the ceiling in the contract that they can increase our rates annually, based on the consumer price index. The consumer price index indicated that it could go up 7%, but again, we're contractually tied to a 5% cap.
Yes, sir.
However, our bill looked like it was 7%, and I knew you were looking into it with GFL. Have you got any kind
do.
of response?
I do.
Okay.
I did. I received a response. So I reached out to the new general manager of GFL in Greensboro. His name is Steve Cobb, and got a response from him that it was a mistake on their part.
Okay.
That the service fee is not to increase more than 5% per our contract, and it did increase 7%. So they're going to correct it by giving a credit to everyone's service bill for the next quarter. It'll be credited, that 2%. And I've since asked him for a written statement so we could put that on our website.
That's perfect. Thanks, Robbie.
Good work, Robbie, and good catch, Derek.
Yeah.
That was a good catch, buddy.
Yeah, it was. Really was. Okay, Mr. Wagner, Planning Board?
Yes, yes. So I figured I would just let you all know, since there's nobody here from the planning board tonight, I don't think, well, Mr. Stevenson's here, sorry. But I'll go ahead and I'll speak on it. So the planning board meeting that was scheduled for Thursday, September the 28th this month, has been canceled. The reason for the cancellation was that no applications were filed with the Guilford County Department of Planning and Development prior to the cutoff date of Thursday, August the 31st, 2023. And I'll prepare and advertise a notice of cancellation soon, right after this meeting, probably.
All right. Thank you, Robbie.
Mr. Rigsby on the Property Committee?
Yeah, just a couple things. I don't want to steal thunder because there's a lot of things on the agenda regarding the park and stuff. But I do want to take a minute and acknowledge Mr. T. Stevenson for his work so far on the park improvement and the grant and stuff. You guys have no idea how much work he's done we got a new playground down there. We're getting ready to break ground on our basketball court, pickleball courts here in the next few weeks. We're also going to discuss some other big projects here tonight. So, all that is done by him volunteering, and I just want to make sure everybody, recognizes that and his efforts so far. Just some minor stuff. We thought we had a electrical issue at one of the shelters, but it looks like somebody just basically left the light on. So we're going to be asking for some estimates on maybe some timer switches or something on the park shelters, just so that we don't have that issue again. I do want to make a general announcement. We had a gentleman drive across our soccer fields couple weeks ago, and we've talked to the sheriff's department about it, and we're definitely looking for that person. We have his tag number in his car, so we just got to find him. At no time should anybody be driving on our grass, our soccer fields, or anything else.
And there's lots of cameras out there. So if you do it, we're going to see it. So,
and it's I can tell you, a couple of years ago we had somebody go out there and do some donuts on the soccer field.
It was about $3,000.
Yeah, about $3,000 worth of donuts, because it's not cheap to get that guy out here to fix the field, and so just want to put that out there. Maybe somebody hears it, maybe it strikes a chord with somebody, but we try to have some nice stuff for the citizens, but. And I think this person uses the fields all the time. We just haven't been able to put our hands on them yet. But and unfortunately, he could ruin his chances, opportunity to use the field if he drives across it, because we're going to close the fields if they're damaged. So that's all I got right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
In relation to the property committee, Jim referenced that they'll be clearing land here in the next 2 or 3 weeks for the pickleball and basketball courts. So excited about that. But, while they're clearing trees, that, we need to be mindful of safety. And I've got a motion because I think the town does need to put a plan in place to address safety concerns and make sure that area is clear. So the motion is for the town park committee, when they meet next week, to develop a safety plan and recommend, get that to Robbie. As a recommendation, and appoint Jim Rigsby and Jimmy Landreth to work with Robbie and implement a safety plan for the park that could range from doing nothing to closing the park while we're doing the site clearing. So good committee input, and then Jimmy and Robbie and Jim worked together to do that. And I certainly would be comfortable with all those minds coming up with a plan that we could execute that. So that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Next on our list is the Town Park Improvement Committee, Mr. T. Stevens, son, T. Stevenson.
Well, that's me, and thank you, Mr. Rigsby. I certainly appreciate those kind words, and certainly I do it because I enjoy doing it, and I'm finally getting to use my degree.
Well, good.
At any rate, I'm pleased to report that the equipment for the playground has been received and installed. Robbie's got a few pictures here that he can blow up there and we can take a look at it. It actually took about 2 weeks to be installed. I think they did a really good job. I will say that we did go up and put out barrels and caution tape and that kind of thing during the construction process. It seemed to work pretty well until last Saturday. And when I came up to take them down, I didn't really have to run anybody off much. The playground was in full use, but so the warnings didn't slow them down too much. But at any rate, you'll see there that the equipment is geared towards children a little bit older in the 5 to 12 range. You've got a swing, a merry-go-round, some climbing apparatus, and a climbing wall there. The mulch there is 12 inches thick in that particular area. They did put 3 additional inches of mulch in the old part of the playground, so that freshened it up a little bit. And I certainly hope, while I made fun of people not paying attention to the warning signs and the tape and stuff, it was very rewarding to see the children enjoying it to that degree. And I think, Jimmy, you took your granddaughter up there. Grandson.
Haircut.
He needs a haircut. I know. But grandson up there, and I think y'all had a good time on it. Of course, don't go down the slide head first anymore. Yes. At any rate, good news there, and thanks to all those that will be using that. I think you'll enjoy it. As Mr. Foy mentioned here just a minute ago, we are hoping to start to break ground on the basketball and pickleball courts in the next 3 weeks or so. We have had some difficulty, not really difficulty, but delays in obtaining the building permits and the site plan approval. But hopefully that will be forthcoming. We'll be able to cut down some trees and lay some concrete. The committee meets again every other Thursday afternoon at 5:15 here in these chambers. We're approaching now about our 40-some meeting, because we've been meeting every week there initially for the first 6 or 8 months, and now it's just every other week. The next meeting is next Thursday, the 21st at 5:15. Anybody that's interested is welcome to come and participate. There are no strangers here, and we listen to everybody, and we appreciate your input. We did meet with representatives of the Stokesdale Parks and Recreation Department to discuss some possibilities for the soccer fields, whether it be fencing or lighting or whatever they would like to see that would help with the functionality of that space. And you'll be hearing more about some of these meetings here forthcoming in the agenda. We continue to be discussing the nature trails. That's another one of those high priority items that was on the wish list of the residents in the survey that we took a few months ago, actually about 24 months ago. And that's more than a few. But, and certainly we'll be working on that in greater detail when we can plot out with more accuracy where we can put it once some of the other facilities are in place and we can work around them. We continue to discuss additional facility improvements, and that would include additional security, additional lighting, additional cameras, would also include trash cans and benches and accessories that will make the park more enjoyable. So thank you very much. Any other questions, comments, good or bad?
You did a good job.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. T.
Financial reports, Kimberly.
Okay. These balances will be for 8/31/23. I'll start with our general fund and our ARPA account, $652,195.56. The Bank of Oak Ridge Money Market account, $23,599.16. Our Bank of Oak Ridge CDARS is $2,615,289.52. The Fidelity checking account is $334,075.47. Petty cash is $150. The total investment earnings, interest earned for this fiscal year, for the first 2 months, is $15,977.48, of which $7,999.87 is for the month of August. So, good job for the first 2 months so far. Accounts receivable for the month of August, Gary, our operator in responsible charge, salary and FICA due from the water enterprise account to the general fund is $564.64. Our shared overhead expenses for the month of August reimbursement is $9,693.74. The total for this fiscal year to date, shared overhead expense is $22,528.26. Our sales tax refund year to date is $76.76. The total accounts receivable for the month of August is $10,335.14. Our total assets for the general fund, which is including the accounts receivables, is $3,635,644.85. The state retirement for the town of Stokesdale contributes 12.85%. For the month of August was $988.24. Our total for this fiscal year is $1,953.58. I'll move on to the water enterprise account. Our Bank of Oak Ridge, our CDARS, $510,948.53. Our capital reserve fund, $208,323.18. Fidelity checking account, $760,249.86. Fidelity savings account is $45,063.08. The North Carolina Capital Management Trust Fund, $547,718.30. The total investment earnings for the water enterprise this fiscal year is $7,507.36, of which $3,802.97 is for the month of August. The accounts receivable, our AR water sales, including active and inactive, which also includes the August billing, is $39,238.91. There are 0 accounts 90 days active past due. Our accounts receivable inactive that are 90 days past due, we have 25 accounts, and that's $6,115.64. The sales tax refund due from North Carolina to the water enterprise account for this fiscal year to date is 0. The total assets for the water enterprise account is $2,111,541.86. Sorry about that. Accounts payable is the water reimbursement due to the general fund for shared overhead expense is $9,693.74. The payroll due to the general fund from the water enterprise is $564.64. The total accounts payable is $10,258.38. The total water capacity fees for the month of August, the town collected $3,000 in capacity fees. The total year-to-date water capacity fees collected is $8,250. And I just have one note, additional note that I just wanted to add is that I have given access to the town's auditors, Miss Cindy Randolph. She is in the process of reviewing the reports, and she and I will be in Town Hall together all day Monday, September the 18th, to begin working on the audit together.
Great. Thank you, Kim.
Any questions, anybody?
Thank you, Kim.
No.
Citizens' comments. We have, not butcher this too much, Alina Wackendorfer? Was it? Okay, okay. If you'd step over to our podium.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name's Elena Walkendorfer. I'm a resident of Summerfield, but I'm here tonight to speak to you about District 3 School Board seat. As a tax-paying, contributing, and very involved resident of Summerfield, I'm disheartened and frustrated with the Guilford County School Board and with Bill Goebel. Bill Goebel was not elected by District 3 constituents, nor was he nominated by the Republican Party to replace the vacant seat. Michael Logan was nominated per policy to fill Pat Tillman's seat, but because the Democrat-led board did not like his policies, they opted to put their pick, Bill Goebel, in that seat. They, the board chair, and their attorney schemed that plan in a secret meeting that Goebel attended. The General Assembly then had to pass a law on 8/17 of this year, clearing up any loopholes or ambiguity that the rogue members may have used to justify their secrecy strategy and plan. Yet Goebel and the Democrats on the board still refuse to follow the law, decent etiquette, and the community's wishes. Michael Logan was and is a great person to represent District 3 on the school board. He served as an educator for 26 years, received accolades and rewards, and was and is respected and liked by staff and students. Throughout this unfair process, he has maintained a positive and professional attitude. His willingness to still serve is a testament to his resolve and his dedication to our schools and students. As of a few days ago, the board is now seeking additional counsel for how to proceed. This is disgusting and it's expensive and it's causing us, the taxpayers. The board is directly ignoring laws they don't like and they're making a mockery of our General Assembly. Perhaps it is time to either disband this derelict board or cut off their funding effective immediately. District 3 needs and deserves a representative who will fight for our children now. Stonewalling and obstructing is shameful. I ask that those doing that would put their agenda aside and for once think about and do what is best for our students. I also encourage everyone to please call or email the school board members and ask them to seat Michael Logan on their next meeting on the 19th. And just a quick little aside, I have 4 kids that went through Guilford County Schools High School. And in the 9 years that we've been there, the schools have gotten worse and worse, and I bet nobody would argue that with me. They're more dangerous. Discipline has gone down the toilet. Truancy is ridiculous. The academic standards, the performance, all of these things are lacking. The current board, except for 2 people, doesn't seem to be super concerned about that, in my opinion. And I know that Michael Logan will fight to get our schools safer. He'll definitely fight to make sure that our kids' academic standards are back up where they need to be. So, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Maria Adams.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Maria Adams, and I live in Summerfield. I'm a very active member of the Northwest community, and I also serve on Superintendent Catherine Truitt's Parent Advisory Committee. So I'm a parent advocate for the Piedmont Triad area. I'm here today, and I have to say it's a difficult conversation or thing to discuss because it's not pretty. But what's happening with our school board is really become extremely disgusting. The Democrats, and I don't mean to blame a particular party, but it's the Democrats that are doing this, and Bill Goebel have turned the District 3 seat into a political commodity. And that's not what elected officials or appointed officials are supposed to do. They're supposed to be serving the constituents, and in this case, the students, teachers, parents, and so on. But I was here a few months ago and I told you about the experience or what happened at the school board meeting on April 4th, but I just want to remind you again what happened that day because I was there. I witnessed it and it was really despicable. So I'll just start with what I've got typed up. At the April 4th Board of Education meeting, I witnessed a despicable set of actions by some of the school board members, their legal counsel, Jill Wilson and Bill Goebel. As you know, Mr. Logan was nominated by the Republican Party to fill the vacancy left by Pat Tillman, but the Democrat majority board ignored the will of the people and refused to seat Mr. Logan for 4 months. The board chair, Dina Hayes Green, slandered Mr. Logan of horrific and false accusations, and after months of denying Mr. Logan his rightful seat, it was inferred by the board that they would seat him on April the 4th. But instead of seating Mr. Logan, the board cited a loophole in the law and sat Bill Goebel instead. It was later learned that Goebel attended a secret meeting with the board chair and the board attorney at the board attorney's office in order to recruit Bill Goebel in this unethical and malicious maneuver. Goebel and all 6 Democrats are currently being sued for violating North Carolina open meetings law. So who is Mr. Goebel? Well, I learned about him when he ran for the chairman's seat of the Guilford County Republican Party. I've been a very active member with the GOP for the last 3 years, but in the last 3 years, I've not seen him at any Republican meetings. I've not witnessed him volunteering to help any candidates get elected, door to door, any of that stuff, hard work that requires to get people elected. Never even heard his name. But he wanted to run for chairman. He wanted to lead the Republican Party, and I found that to be odd. So Goebel pushed out a promo email to all the delegates, which included a video message, and in that video, Goebel expressed his loyalty to the Republican Party by asking for votes, and he stated, quote, "I will not let you down." But less than 30 days later, Goebel betrays the Republican Party, hence betraying all of us in Stokesdale and in District 3, by attending a secret meeting with the board chair and the board attorney to seat himself instead of supporting the legal nominee, Mr. Logan. So as Ms. Elena had just mentioned, a bill was ratified on August 17th, which clears up all the ambiguity and makes it very clear how vacancies are to be filled for partisan seats. And also in that bill, it states that any appointed member between December 22nd and the date the bill was ratified on the 17th of August, that person would be automatically removed. That person is Bill Goebel, but he refuses to vacate the seat and continues to portray himself as a District 3 school board member. And because he refuses to do the right thing, the board had to vote to hire outside counsel, which is going to cost all of us in this room thousands of dollars. If it goes to court, it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's already one lawsuit that Bill Goebel has been a cause of, and now there may be a second one. So why do we, the taxpayers, have to suffer the consequences of Goebel's self-serving actions? Our community deserves a person of integrity and good morals to represent us on the school board, and that person is Michael Logan, who's given 26 years of his life to the betterment of students. So I like to repeat what Elena said, to encourage everyone here to write to the school board and show your support for Mr. Logan and ask them to follow the law. I do have the session law and the lawsuit if there were any questions.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry Pickett.
Good evening, Cherry Pike at 7804 Robinson Road, and I live in Summerfield too. But I'm here as a Guilford County resident to update you on a special called meeting which has been mentioned by our school board this past Monday on September 11th, 2023. It is all related to the District 3 school board seat conflict, which I firmly believe belongs to Michael Logan. The purpose of the Guilford County School Board meeting was to vote on whether to hire 2 lawyers outside the school system to interpret the law regarding the District 3 seat. The school board lawyer, Jill Wilson, recommended 2 lawyers from a firm. The first lawyer's name is Caroline Mackey and Eddie Spees with the Pointer Spruill law firm to interpret the law for them, is what they said. The vote was 5 yeses and 2 noes, so they did vote to proceed with that. As you recall, back in November 2022, Pat Tillman, a Republican, vacated the District 3 seat after being elected as county commissioner. The Guilford County Republican Party selected and vetted another Republican to fill his seat, and rightly so, according to North Carolina law. The school board refused the GOP selection, and instead, the Democrats on the school board, unbeknownst to the two Republicans, secretly selected their own Republican who would vote along with them however they wanted. Why would they leave the two Republicans out when selecting another Republican? The school board is wasting time and tax dollars by trying to find a way out of this law instead of following it and concentrating on putting our children first. All of this would not even be necessary if they had just seated Mr. Logan in January. I believe it was January. He knows the ins and outs of the school system and is a 26-year veteran high school teacher in good standing. I believe the reason that they refused Mr. Logan is that he would vote for the best of the children and the rights of the parents, but he would not vote with a Marxist agenda to sexualize our children, put Black children against white children, resulting in confusion, hate, anger, and our children turning away from parents, family, and God. I'm asking everyone in District 3 to email our school board members in support of Mr. Logan for that seat. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, the duly appointed District 3 School Board member, Mr. Michael Logan.
Welcome, sir.
It's a tough act to follow.
I thought I'd give you enough to work on.
Well, I'm not going to talk about my qualifications. I was going to share some information. School report cards have came out. Stokesdale rated at 66 as a pass rate on their testing. They did not meet growth. Their letter grade was a C. Oak Ridge was 86, exceeded growth. Letter grade was A. Summerfield, 78, met their growth, and their grade was a B. Northwest Middle School, which all the students in this area will be feeding to, they actually had a 78, they exceeded their growth, and they rated a B. Northwest High School actually had a 76, so that on their pass rate, they exceeded their growth and they had an A. I won't say with the Northwest Middle and the high school, they both exceeded their growth. That's impressive because they're already at the top. So if you're at the top, it's a lot harder to move higher. Now, with those schools and with several other schools, and I'll leave y'all a copy of this. This was from the master plan and what the bonds were passed on. It shows the overcapacity, and surprising, the lowest school is at the highest capacity. So that may be a little foretelling there. Another thing I wanted to talk about, because I know there's some interest in the traffic at Stokesdale. Y'all wanted teachers to go out there in the parking lot and do it in roads and direct traffic. That's not going to happen in the northern part of the county. It will happen in the southern part. At my old school, we did it, but I have found out in this part of the county, they will not do it. And part of that, my understanding, is a teacher was hit at Northwest High School doing that. And they will not do that. But there is a law, or statute 20-114.1. I got a copy of it for you. C and D would apply to that. If you reach out to the sheriff actually can appoint. The person has to be 18 years old, have to have 3 hours training, and they can be a certified person to direct traffic. They don't have to be paid. You can have volunteers. As long as they've had that 3 hours training and the sheriff approves them, they can do the traffic. Now, that's really important because I did find something out at the PTA meeting at Northwest the other week. Colfax had been paying sheriffs to direct traffic at Colfax, and that's a nightmare there. And I found out that when they were doing it, they actually had to pay 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon, because at a minimum, they could only do 3-hour stints. So that was very expensive, and it was an outside group that actually paid for that. With the agenda coming up on 6/19, I'll tell you, on that agenda, there is nothing for the oath of office for District 3. We will address that. But as it looks, the school system is ignoring the law. And the law is fairly simple. But with that being said, that's a whole different matter. The Evolve scanners are on that. Now, we've heard about the scanners in the school. Scanners ran about $860 or almost $862,000 first year. This year, we're adding middle schools. That's another $909,000. $100,000, for a total of $1,771,000 a year for the scanners. Now, if you would like for me to show you how well the scanners work, get with me privately and I will share that with you. But I have a real concern with the scanners and the money that it's costing for the scanners. We just had a gun at North and East High School, I believe this past week. I actually saw a video of the kid running through the parking lot, and I'm not sure if it went through the scanners, or I'm not sure how it got into the schools, but it was actually on the campus. And reality is, I went to a PTA meeting at Northwest High School the other day. I pulled in the side parking lot. I walked over to the trailers. Guess what? Scanners on the other side of the school. Has nothing to do or help protect those trailers out there. So that is something that needs to be looked at. And also, if we're going to have scanners, they need to be working, or need to be workable. We have an issue with some of the cameras in the school. I did have a SRO or someone associated with one of the SROs reached out to me, told me there's a middle school in Guilford County, has no cameras, and the cameras haven't worked all year. That's a problem. Cameras should work in all the schools, and that should be a primary focus within the schools. With the upcoming meeting, they are going to be going over several things on policy, and one of them is the duty officers of the officials, which would be the chair and the vice chair. One of those duties is appointing committee members and chairpersons in consultation with the vice chair. The public needs to address that. Because right now, we have a $2 billion bond. It is controlled by 4 Democrats on the county commissioners, 4 Democrats on the school board. In the past, that was a bipartisan committee, and it should be a bipartisan committee. So with that being said, I'm done. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me, I will do the best I can.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think we just need to get out to vote. I don't think we're gonna make any headway with any of this with the current, situation, so. We
Thank
got
you.
work to do next year.
All right. Consideration of a resolution consenting to the addition of Pond Court in the Meadow Ridge subdivision to the secondary road maintenance system of North Carolina. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we pass the resolution to add Pond Court in Stokesdale, North Carolina to the North Carolina DOT secondary road system.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Foy? Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
And I am also aye. Consideration of a resolution consenting to the addition of Cornelius Court, John King Lane, and South Point Drive, extension of SR 4608 in the Boone Meadows subdivision to the secondary road maintenance system of North Carolina.
Mr. Mayor, I'll also make a motion that we adopt the resolution dated September 11th to add Cornelius Court, John King Lane, and Southport Drive to the secondary road system of the state of North Carolina.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Brigsby? I'm sorry, is there any discussion? Mr. Brigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith? Aye. And I am also aye. Number 14, we're going to consideration of potential grant funding opportunities from state legislator.
Mr. Mayor, this was my agenda item. Just want to really have a discussion with council on this. I believe all of you are aware that our state senator representative reached out to Mayor Crawford back on August 4th, informing Mike that there was money in his discretionary fund and requested what projects that the town of Stokesdale are entertaining and that he may be able to allocate funds to the town of Stokesdale. Oak Ridge did receive the same request. Oddly enough, Summerfield did not. It's really beside the point, though. But I did, Mike shared that email with me, and I did respond, speaking as one council member, that the Town Park Committee is entertaining potentially lighting the soccer fields with light poles so the kids can play after dark, which is, soccer season's in the spring and in the fall. It gets dark pretty early in the spring and fall, so I think lighting is a nice to have. It's not an absolute need, but it's a nice to have. So hence why it was there. I also included the amphitheater. The amphitheater received favorable marks in the citizen survey from 24 months ago, but a little bit longer than that. So I added that in there, and then additional parking at Town Hall. Again, nice to have. None of these items really fell under critical infrastructure, such as the water system. Personally, I do have mixed feelings about the matter. I don't really want to get caught in some Faustian bargain for the sake of money. So I'd like for the request that I have made to be ratified by the town council. So the request is coming from the governing body and not just myself. Now, I do acknowledge that any town council member has the right to request grant funding, and the town's governing body has to accept any grant that the town gets. So, but I've got, for personal reasons, I guess, I've got some concerns about this. But I also feel that if discretionary funds do exist, that the money should funnel down to municipalities. So with that being said, I'd love to hear what you guys think, and eventually, get a motion to amend some of these items, remove some of these items, add items, or do nothing. I just value council's input on the whole matter. So, any comments?
From all appearances, there are no strings attached to this money. This is what I call low-hanging fruit. This is not a quid pro quo. We're not being bribed to do anything about the casino. That's not what this is about. But it is an opportunity for us to take advantage of funds that are available. When the senator first contacted me, I immediately contacted my mayor pro tem, and Mr. Foy suggested we ask for $125,000. I thought, well, that's okay. So I asked for $140,000. So then Mr. Foy wanted to see the email I had written, and so he took that email and went a whole lot further with it, with a lot more detail, which is exactly what he does. He asked for $175,000. It appears we've been granted that $175,000. So it should give us the money that we need to do what Mr. Foy's talking about with lighting the soccer fields. And I'll tell you the reason I got to tell you, the reason I went from 125 to 140 is I want us to have a utility vehicle. I want the town to have a utility vehicle, whether it's a mule or whatever you call it, like a Kawasaki. I want us to have a utility vehicle so that we can get in and around the park without having to drive a vehicle. Mr. Landrith was caught driving his personal vehicle down the pathway. I'm sure.
Where did you get that from?
I got it on my phone.
You must be having some dreams or something.
No,
That wasn't
I
my
got it
vehicle.
on my phone.
Well, I tell you what I'll do, I'll just bet you that $120,000, it wasn't my personal vehicle.
Oh, what is that the little red one?
It might have been a little red one, but it wasn't my little red one.
Swanee?
I
All
can
right.
attest to that because myself and Mr. Landreth cut a tree down that was dead the other day, and he made me haul the branches all the way from the tree to the parking lot.
I wasn't
not-
driving, he was
I'm
driving the yard.
Instead of
I'm
driving his
not
truck over
casting
there, so-
aspersions. I just identified it as that. Somebody brought it to my attention that somebody was riding on the pathway, and I said, well, I think it's Mr. Landers just checking on the park. But
I walk and check on the park. I
Okay.
don't have to have a mule ride.
I apologize. I do apologize. Please take no offense.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You said that we were granted $175,000. How do you know that?
I'm going on news reports, and I'm going on what you had requested.
No. I'm confused now, so I want to get on
Okay,
track.
nothing I'm saying is in concrete.
Oh, okay. So to clarify, we have not been granted anything.
Oh, okay, all right.
And why didn't you ask for more?
I did. I asked for 1.2 million.
Yeah, I was
But-
going to suggest if you guys will go back, and I've done this for years because I was a state employee for 30 years, and you as well. I know that's where our raises come in. That's where all our insurance is at. So I can tell you the budget is very detailed, and it's about 500 pages. But a big section of that is one-time expenditures at the bottom. And if you ever want some good reading, just read about what the state spends your money on one time in places you never heard of. And I would absolutely suggest that we look at that and we use that as a guide and a template to base our request, because 125,000 is not even close to what most people request.
But I requested 1.2 million.
I think you're
So-
well in line with
so that's-
a lot of what's on.
It's not 175 or 125. It's 1.2 million.
Yeah, I think that's certainly an adequate.
I apologize. I am definitely misinformed.
Especially about my car.
That too.
We need to address that with Mr.
That too.
Landers, though.
Anyway,
It's something.
All right.
But
That's all right, maybe we'll get it.
so, again, I'm happily will write an email. I'll probably write plenty more in these last 2 months. But it's fine the email request came from me as a person, but the council needs to make this from the council tonight. And I would like to update that either we don't make the request, we change it, or we roll with it as is. But either way, it comes from the entire governing body and just not me.
Well, I don't have a problem trying to get the money. I'm gonna tell you why. You know, there's a couple things he's doing that I know we don't like, or some of us don't. Might be some people do like it, but I think we don't like it. But there's a whole lot of stuff they do down there that we don't like. Stuff they do over in Gilbert County we don't like. But that's tax money that our citizens have paid in. And if we don't get it, somebody's gonna get it, and they're gonna spend it.
Absolutely.
And I hate it. I hate it's that way. I don't like it. But you know, I think we all run for office. We said no taxes in Stokesdale, and we've done it. And we've improved the park, and we've done it with grant money, and I think we all said that. And that's what we've done. And that's how we do it. So, like I said, I don't like some of the things that's going on, but as far as asking for the money, I don't mind asking to get our money back.
There you go.
So,
Good.
would it be prudent, Mr. Foy, for us to, or maybe you want to draft a resolution with your expenditure details and let us vote on a resolution? Would that be the less prudent
Well-
way? To get the conversation started as far as.
Well, buddy, I'll say this. I'm surprised the budget hasn't gone to vote yet. They probably have some things they're trying to work out. But supposedly they're voting for the budget any time now, so I don't think we have time to meet. Ms. Theory, hold on one second. To meet and have another, Ms. Theory, I'm sorry to interrupt.
They're right now, they're kind of deadlocked on the budget of
Mhm.
excuse the expression, abreast of it, I'm stuttering. There's a good possibility that the casino is gonna be put on the back burner for now. And I think that it's because of all of you writing letters. Right now, they're thinking of passing the budget without the casino involved. So I would get your request out there soon, because it's almost as if they're conceding to go ahead with the budget and take on the casino next year.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
I'm okay with Derek. I mean, you had a pretty detailed letter about what we wanted to use it for.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with just going with that. So we don't have to have another meeting, because I mean, it's hard to get all this to get together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I'm fine with that too. I just wanna,
I would like for Robbie to follow up with his assistant, Ms. Braswell, and say that this request, if we pass a motion, is from the entire governing board. So,
Well, it'll be from 4 of us if we vote tonight, because we got one.
well, it would just take 3 votes for it
Well,
to be
yeah,
from the
okay,
entire
I know what you're
governing-
saying.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the proper motion would then be for the board to ratify the letter you've written. Is it letter or email you've written?
It was email.
Okay, so if the board wanted to ratify, that would be I guess, proper motion. If the board wanted to ratify what he had taken and adopted as the board's position.
Okay.
I mean, basically, we're just asking for.
I make a motion that we ratify Mr. Foy's email to Phil Berger's office.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
And I am also aye.
Gonna take 5 minutes real quick.
You want a break?
Recess?
Okay. 5-minute recess.
Robbie, you mind printing something out for me, bud? I forgot to do it.
Your, the letter that the email that you sent, can you forward that to me? Okay, all right.
And I've never seen that before, but that seems like a pretty good money to get people who are in traffic.
Yeah, I didn't
For
know
some
that.
reason, they won't
You-
direct traffic in Carter County. Guilford County, southern part of the county.
We're
it's
paying-
in the middle of the road with the stop sign.
We're paying the sheriff's.
You know, we just paid the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
to
We
direct
agreed to
traffic.
Those guys are probably happy as can be.
Well, I guess so, just like you
Last-
said, we paid
Last
3
year, we
hours.
got it done by private
And I don't
funding.
blame those guys.
But that right there doesn't say you get.
We got to print that out. I want it for this next discussion.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, he that shall endure to the end shall be saved.
Interesting.
That's what that bond was sold on in this part of it.
Yeah.
The school has twice now said that those aren't necessarily
Hey, not right this second, but if you get your hands on those documents that Mr. Logan gives us, would you make a copy?
Well, it's kind of like this,
Well,
it's
he's
kind of
gonna
like
have
this
them.
thing with this.
Yeah, just give them your
Calling
hand.
me, and, you know, we got money, how much do you need? I couldn't believe it. I mean, that's never happened before.
well, I bet all that money will dry up, that casino.
I got a feeling, you know, my first thought
They're
was,
basing that budget on the income that the casino's gonna be bringing in.
There,
So when
that's-
they move that out of the budget.
they,
All those little pet projects.
that was the thing that first hit me. I figured, you know, this is a bribe of some kind. They didn't put any stipulations
Now,
on it.
is that, is part of the money they're giving you, part of like the ESSER money, or? 'Cause I know we still, like the scanners are being paid by the ESSER funds, which means you got that money now, but I believe after next year, that money's not gonna be there.
Yeah.
So that one, we're gonna have to start paying for it.
Yeah. Well,
And I'll be honest,
this is amazing. This just flabbergasts me.
those scanners are not what they sold out for me.
Make friends.
You're talking about the handheld things that are you talking about the walkthrough?
Walkthrough?
Yeah. That's a shame. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
That's just from there.
All right.
If I make a copy of that for everybody.
This?
Yeah, Mr. Logan. Is that what Mr. Logan gave you?
That's what he gave me.
What you got there?
How you doing?
Good, good.
So that is, that's Derek. He just had me to print that. I think that's gonna come about on the next item. When we start talking about the, number 11. Yeah.
The lighting
engineer quote.
Okay, good.
Looks like that's under the budget for the park.
So are we gonna ask Berger to pay this too? Is
Well,
Berger?
no, I guess so. I hadn't seen that, so I'm curious. I need to read.
Yeah, I
asked him
haven't.
before that too. I hadn't seen it either, so I'm curious what he's gonna request. But that's good. I mean,
Well, I assume everybody on the council's seen it.
they've seen it, yeah.
Where's Jonesy?
I don't know. He came out this morning and picked up his packet, but I hadn't seen him since. So he didn't mention anything about not coming, so I don't think something come up.
I wonder if we need to consider whether it's, we don't know the reason for it, can't really make the motion for it being excused absence or.
I know. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Okay, I hope he's okay.
I do too. I might send him a text. Just check on him.
Okay.
Just see where he's at. You waiting on, you need me?
I'm waiting on you.
Wait, yeah, what you got?
I ran across something the other day, I thought y'all might. If not, you're welcome to give it to the Friends of Stokesdale.
We can put it,
It came from 1941, I found it in some of my grandfather's stuff.
this is a community.
Yeah. And I found an article with it about the Hurricane Hazel that came through Stokesdale.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Way too young to remember this guy. That was the first physician's office in Stokesdale. This is where, no, it's where the pet cleaning deal is behind the old drugstore.
Okay.
Dr. Bradford came to Stokesdale. So I thought there might be a little history.
We can put it up there in that, showcase.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah. You doing okay?
Yeah. About you? Yeah.
You might be recording.
That's right. Thank you so much.
I thought I was the one that missed it. I found out we got it. Was it in the meeting?
There was some article in the Northwest Observer, was there not?
Yeah, but they have the right.
Hey, have y'all heard from Patty? Is Patty okay?
She's a beach.
Oh, okay. All right. I know they've been having a hard time, so.
Beat that guy.
Let's come back to order, please. Mr. Wagner, where is he?
Oh, I don't know, but
We should be at number 11.
He was making,
Oh, I'm
yep,
sorry.
we
I
are.
went to-
He was making some copies for us. Consideration of an engineering quote for potential installation of lighting at town soccer multi-use fields.
Mr. Mayor, it's my item. So back in early August, the Town Park Improvement Committee, we met with the Stokesdale Parks and Rec soccer leadership to discuss possibly putting a fence around the soccer fields. Gated fence, and Mr. Rigsby referred to that earlier. And the conversation had turned into the state of the soccer program and all that. That program has grown to over 300 kids, which is remarkable. And they were very complimentary of our soccer fields and really enjoy, of course, being able to use it, to use those fields. But as I alluded to earlier, they are challenged with having spring and fall seasons. They don't have a summer season where it's daylight the longest. So they really are limited on practice time, but also to an extent game time and how they need to schedule that because of getting dark. In fact, I learned that they rent the soccer fields at Summerfield Park because because they're lighted, and so knowing that we have grant money available, and we have grant money available outside the potential opportunity we just talked about. And I'll talk about the financials here in a minute. But so that led to an additional discussion with an engineer who does this kind of work for us. So we met with him back on August the 17th and asked him to put a proposal together so the engineer could make site plans for contractors to bid on that to put up lights and light our soccer field. So the proposal is in our packets. Let me make sure I have it. It's from Greensboro Engineering, and the gentleman's name is Mr. Chad Lackey. The amount of the proposal is for $10,000. So Mr. Lackey and I had a good discussion earlier this week, and I just want to be able to explain to council what all we're getting for $10,000. Obviously, engineering work comes at a hefty price. I'm sure Aaron can speak to that. But, so he would lay out the pole locations, do power distribution, specify control systems, where the wiring of all the poles, reflect this on a drawing of the wiring path and specify the light heads that would go on the poles. They're essentially creating specs, a comprehensive electrical package for the contractor to use for permitting and building. They'll specify things such as where the boring goes under the fields instead of digging trenches. He said we should definitely do boring as opposed to trenches, because once you dig a trench and fill it back in, it's never going to be the same. And we talked about what kind of poles they would use. He would determine the coefficient of drag per head and to ensure that they can sustain a wind load maximum of 110 miles per hour. He said we shouldn't have a problem with that because we're not on a ridge or anything. He did share with the LED lighting that they use, the power consumption is about 1/15 of what they were if you use conventional lighting. He said they're very cost effective. I hesitate to say a price to run those lights without knowing, but he did give me a figure. If it's 30 kilowatts at 8 cents per hour, roughly $3 per hour to run all the lighting. He talked about the importance of designing this so the uniformity ratio is in line, meaning a lot of people when they think of lighting fields like that, they think of how bright are the lights. He said really the most important thing is how uniform is that light distributed over the soccer fields. So that's one thing that the engineering would do for us. He does about 2 or 3 projects like this per month. So this is what he does. He's done projects at Center City Park in Greensboro, Triad Honor Park in Colfax, Wright Brothers Memorial down east, the Spencer Love Tennis Courts, J.C. Park, Southeast Guilford, soccer fields. And I do think this would be a great asset to our park because it encourages more use. In my opinion, the town is missing out on revenue, if you will, because we can't rent those soccer fields when it's dark. When there is demand for those soccer fields, we can't rent it out at our modest price of $10 a field. I'm not advocating raising the fee for soccer field rental unless they rent it during anyone wants to rent it with the lights on, then I think we need to increase our fee to do that. From what little I know, and let's be very clear, I know very little about electrical engineering. And actually, I know nothing. But it's, it's reasonable to think that we would pay for the electricity through field rental. And then on top of that, I think with extra use, it is, we're not going to generate enough income to pay for the mowing of the grass and the fertilizing and all the grass, but we'll get a modest kick. I was talking to the soccer director this week, and I was telling him to get his hours in for the spring. We still need to get the money from him from the spring. And I said, how much is that, by the way? He says $1,250. So, it's a modest fee to use our fields, but seeing these, all these kids out there enjoying it and seeing our park used like it is pretty rewarding. I think we have a great park, and I think this is a good next step that is endorsed by the Town Park Improvement Committee, which, to be fair, I'm a member of that, so, but yeah, I think this is good. So, any questions, guys?
I'm sorry, I was zoned out a minute ago. Are you, and I was looking at your budget too, are you proposing to pay for this through the additional grant that we're seeking?
So no, sir. Where it fits in the budget as of today is through the ARPA grant, the $724,000 grant. And gentlemen, y'all should have kind of a layout budget of where we are. So, budgeting $10,000 for engineering and $175,000 for lighting, we would still have a balance in the budget left over of $42,707. And that's after we pay for the playground equipment, which is $82,000, and then $299,000 after we pay. That's the cost of the pickleball and basketball courts. We've budgeted $56,000 for nature trails. Another $50,000 for additional ancillary items to support the existing infrastructure of the park, such as additional trash cans, park benches, fixing the erosion issue, which we've already done, an automatic locking mechanism for the basketball and pickleball court. We've researched those online, and they're pricey, so we budgeted for that just so we have the opportunity to explore that. We did a land survey for the new 10 acres, the addition of the park, and a combination deed, so that 10 acres is platted now with the 25 acres we sit on right here. And then $50,000 for the Stokesdale Parks and Rec grant for their field lighting. So, adding all that together, and also applying the $50,000 small town development grant that we got, which will be used towards the basketball and pickleball court, we still have a balance of $42,000 left. Now, where did I get that $175,000 estimate for the construction of the poles? That I tried to use some logic in that, but that's not my. What I use is what Stokesdale Parks and Rec is doing for their fields. That's about a $120,000 project. So I added a big chunk to that. But I think, in terms of square footage they're lighting versus square footage we're lighting, I wouldn't imagine they're very different. But, I don't know how much it'll cost. It's important to get these engineering plans because once we get these plans, we would submit those out to contractors for bid. So, they're bidding on an apples to apples and know exactly what they're doing. So, the project really would not move forward without this. We couldn't say, can we skip the engineering and just get a contractor to look at it? I think that'd be extremely imprudent and possibly against statute. So that's what I have, fellas. I'm happy to try to answer questions. If y'all couldn't tell, I was reading a lot of this because there's no way I could have spit that out from memory. Yes, sir. I'd like to recognize Chairman, Town Park Chairman, Park Improvement Chairman T. Stevenson.
I would also add that in that engineering, that during the conversation with the soccer folks, that in order to qualify to have sanctioned tournaments and matches, you have to have a specific amount of light, and it has to be uniform, like you were just talking about, with the so many foot candles, and it has to be spread. And so it would be real difficult for a regular contractor, I think, to anticipate and plot those out with any accuracy. So I think that's a good point to make too. Because he did say, you know, you could light part of a field and it wouldn't be up to standards, and that would throw the whole complex out if it didn't meet that criteria, and you wouldn't be able to hold the sanctioned games under those circumstances.
That's a good point, T.
And that's in direct relation to safety with regard to eliminating shadows and that kind of thing, trip and fall hazards and that kind of thing.
Great, yeah. Good point, T. Thank you for sharing. Fellas, any questions? I'll have a motion if not. I'm going to make a motion that we accept the proposal from Greensboro Engineering PLLC to perform the engineering work for potential installation of lighting at our soccer fields at Stokesdale Town Park. The fee for this design is $10,000. And that money will be paid using the ARPA Grant Special Revenue Fund.
Do I have a second?
What's the date on that proposal, Mr. Foy?
September 1, 2023.
September 1st, okay.
Proposal dated September 1st, 2023.
Are you gonna second that, Jimmy?
Beg pardon? Beg pardon? Are you
Usually
gonna
second
second
it. I
that?
didn't
You
know if
second
you
everything?
seconded it.
Oh, okay. You gonna second it? No, I didn't say anything. Oh,
I'll second it.
I would have.
I'm just giving you the chance.
All
Would
right.
have. I get to second enough things.
Is there any further discussion?
One more point of reference. I did ask the gentleman, because on here, he says, any additional work can be handled at an hourly basis of $150 an hour. So that's if he came to do site visits or anything like that during construction. And he figured that would at most be 12 hours of additional time, which would be $2,000. So, you know, that's not part of this motion, but I did want to point that out because that sentence does leave it kind of out in the air that, you know, is it going to be what more out there could it be in addition to 10,000? And that's what it is.
Any further discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Consideration of First Amendment to the ancillary intergovernmental water services agreement with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utility Commission and consider source of funding.
Mr. Chairman, would you like for me to briefly summarize this amendment to the contract? The contract amendment is not particularly easy reading, so I did
Please.
prepare a summary that was distributed with it. So there are 7 points I'd like to consider. First off, the current agreement with the Winston-Salem Utility Commission expires in 2030. And this amendment would extend that term from 2030 to 2050. It also, increases the capacity, the amount of water that we can buy from, the town can buy from 300,000 gallons per day to 500,000 gallons per day. There is a one-time capacity reservation fee that the town will be paying in the amount of $128,000. And that will be paid, has to be paid within 90 days of the agreement being signed. We've discussed, there's two possible sources for that expenditure. One would be the ARPA funds, which would be available, and also the system.
System development.
Yeah, system development fees that have been collected over the years. So both those are available to pay the $128,000. The current contract provides that either side could terminate the agreement for convenience with 48 months' notice. This amendment keeps that, but it also provides that Winston-Salem Commission, the Commission, the Utilities Commission, cannot terminate it for convenience until after 2040. So we are protected against a termination for convenience until 2040. The time for cure, there's also a provision for termination based on a breach by the town, which would primarily be failure to pay, I assume would be the primary way we could breach. And that has been changed from 30 days opportunity to cure to 60 days opportunity to cure. And if the change is something that we have to, takes us more than 60 days to complete, then as long as we start the, start the cure within 60 days and diligently pursue it, then we're, okay, we're covered. There's been quite a bit of indemnification language added that primarily benefits Winston-Salem Utilities Commission. I had made some attempts to make it more balanced, and they were not budging on that point. So just be aware that there is, if something goes wrong and they seek indemnification, this contract favors them more than us as it relates to that. And finally, if the town were to install booster pumps, which I have no idea what that is, but if they install one, or if we wanted to resell the water to another entity, we have to get their permission to do that.
Now, when you say another entity, you know, we're selling, I guess you're talking about another town, or?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Another town, another, we can sell it to any individual, I mean, to a residential user or individual user or small business. But if we tried to sell it wholesale or pass along to someone else in another town,
The Summerfield or somebody.
Oak Ridge or anybody else, then we have to get their permission to, it doesn't not allow us to do it, but we have to get the permission to do it first.
You're not talking about a company that may come in or something like that?
That's right. If it's a regular customer of ours, that's not a problem.
Okay.
But if we can't turn around and sell it to Summerfield or Oak Ridge without their permission. I did have a chance to speak with the attorney for the city of Winston-Salem earlier today. She said that their commission has approved this contract this past Monday. So that's been approved on their end. So the last thing to finalize this is for this board to approve, and I would suggest that you authorize the mayor, if you are in agreement, that you authorize the mayor to execute on behalf of the town.
You think we're in as good a shape as we're gonna be in?
I think we're in much better shape with this than we are right now.
Right.
I mean, there's some good wins here to, you know, to extend the term, add as many years as we're able to do with the term, and to increase the capacity, the amount we can buy daily from Winston-Salem by 67%. Those are important things, you know. It's kind of easy to take water for granted, but, you know, it does have to come from somewhere, and we've had a good working relationship with Winston-Salem for 20 years, and it's great to see that we'll have a contract in place for that to occur for another 20 years, or maybe a little longer.
It's good. I just hate that we're building a town on water that we don't pull out of the ground or out of a river ourselves.
Yeah.
That, you know, I don't think we've got any problems anytime soon, but, I mean, that's basically what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing, so.
And as Chuck mentioned, we will to make this amendment with the contract because it does increase the capacity offered to the town. We'll have to pay that capacity fee or system development fee, or, you know, of $128,000. But, you know, that is a fee for any water customer that hooks up to the town of Stokesdale. Part of their hookup fee is every customer, if it's a new hookup, not if you move into a house with an existing hookup, but if it's a brand new hookup or if the house is being built, every customer pays that $750 capacity fee that we collect from them, and we put that in a capital reserve fund, and it's that capital reserve fund can only be used for permitted purposes, and this is a permitted purpose. So if you trace the money, we're collecting it from our water customers, And that money's gonna, go back to Winston-Salem in the spirit of increasing our capacity from them, so. Chuck, you've done, we've been talking about this about 9 months now. You've done a hell of a job. Yeah.
We've been talking about this for close to 3 years.
Yeah.
You come on board and got it done for us. I mean.
Yeah, that's absolutely
This
right.
was been done a long time ago, and we appreciate your hard work.
Yeah, and we know it's been a lot of hard work because we see your invoices, so.
Right behind the engineering fees.
But thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we authorize Mayor Crawford to enter into an agreement with the City of Winston-Salem based on the summary of amendments to the agreements between the town of Stokesdale and Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utility Commission as outlined in agenda item 12.
Second the motion.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby.
Aye.
Mr. Foy.
Aye.
Mr. Landrith.
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Consideration of agreement with Hazen and Sawyer for professional services related to water line extension to add system redundancy.
So I can speak to this for a while, and I might turn it over to Chuck as well. And if we do have a representative, Mr. Babson from Hazen and Sawyer here, and I appreciate him being here. If we have any questions for him, I'm sure he'll gladly take them. But this is for the water line extension project from Coldwater Road, from 158 to Coldwater Road to Highway 65 or Blues Creek Road, and it'll connect right there at the terminus at Oak Level Church Road. So roughly 3 miles. Aaron and his team, a couple months ago, council approved to enter into a contract with Hazen and Sawyer for those guys to do our engineering work, and they'll oversee the surveying, design, and everything. And this is a well-drafted contract. I did read it. Long contract. One thing to note, because we are using grant money for this project, it's grant money from the federal government that was funneled through, granted to us from Guilford County. The federal government granted Guilford County directly the money, and Guilford County sub-granted it to the town of Stokesdale for this project. But because of the complexity of all the grant, and Aaron will help us keep up the grant paperwork, so that's very appreciative of that. It does require this contract, and it's, what is it, ADA? What's the contract? Is it a?
This is not a standard agreement.
Okay.
It's one that we have that, in the absence of a contract that you would ask us to sign.
Sure. And Hazen and Sawyer and Chuck, have worked closely together on this. So, if you have any questions for that, Chuck and Aaron are here.
What are we?
So I would say, as far as the form of the contract, this, Mr. Babson sent me a proposal. I reviewed it, asked for a few changes in the contract, which they accommodated. One thing I do want to point out to the town, if you look at Schedule A, which is Exhibit A1 to the contract, we're right after the signature page. Signature page is page 14, and then the Schedule A is the next page. It calls for the timeline for the work, the bidding and awarding the contracts. We're hoping for July of 2024, if I'm reading this correctly, but I know we have a deadline with regard to the funding, so we need to be careful. That needs to get moving if we're going to meet our deadlines for the ARPA funds, because I think that has to be committed. Kim, is it? It's in July.
I believe ARPA's 12/31/24. That's the encumbrance date.
Yes.
The spend date is 12/31/26, but encumbrance is a big part of this, so.
Right.
I know a lot of what you get's only as good as we're able to support with you, but that's, we need to meet that July, if not improve. And I understand that that's a lot to that, and so anything we can do to help, and I might have a little motion here in a minute to hopefully streamline the process. Aaron Sure, please.
No, we fully intend to. We've coordinated with all of our subcontractors. The first thing we've got to do is get our surveyors out there. I have forwarded a letter to Mr. Wagner during the meeting here, so he has likely not seen it, that I would like to get approval on pretty quickly, that we get to the homeowners, that we'll see the surveyors and the geotechnical subs out there on the road, so they're not surprised, right? And we owe them a 30-day notice based on North Carolina General Statute. So there are things like that that I would ask that potentially the council put together an advisory committee that could answer some questions fairly quickly to help the design team push forward that schedule. And July it's condensed, right, for a 3-mile water line. We're going to do everything we possibly can, and we're going to keep you up to date with the progress of that as we go through the months. And we obviously will be telling you if we don't think that we're going to be able to make that, and we're going to tell you the reasons why. But we fully intend to, and we're going to move forward with that schedule.
Okay.
And I think we can, right? I mean, it's I think the route that's been chosen is I don't see any surprises. Hopefully that doesn't, I don't eat those words.
Understood.
But our subs will help us recognize those early.
Just, can you give us an idea, when you say a committee, any particular set of skills you would like to see on that committee, as far as, should we have somebody from Yates on that committee, or is it just, is it more of a technical or more of an advisory committee?
It'll be minor things that aren't affecting money or time, right? So it wouldn't be, I would never ask a committee to, or anything less than the full council to have any opinion on anything that would affect the cost of the project. But I'm talking things like, would you rather have a valve at this road and this driveway or the next one? You know, if, you know, small things that we would need input on going forward. I provided Mr. Foy maybe a quick list that I don't have on me to access. But one of the biggest things is like this letter, for example, that I provided Mr. Wagner that we will be sending to all the homeowners. Hopefully that doesn't need council approval. We don't need to wait another 30 days to get approval on that. We can get it out the door and get that 30-day clock started. So it's just small things like that I don't necessarily think it takes any strong expertise, although I think it would be great to have Yates on board at times.
I'll take a stab at this. I would suggest that Mr. Jones and I be that contact point.
You'll put that in a motion?
I make a give me the.
I'll make the motion then. If you
Do it.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that the town adopt an advisory team consisting of Mayor Crawford and Mr. Jones to assist with streamlining answering questions with Hazen and Sawyer for the water line extension on system redundancy project. Mr. Attorney, is there any concerns with having?
Well, this gets us to the question of is it a public body? So in other words, you've essentially appointed a committee that's.
Team.
Well, but you've authorized, I think that we'd say this is, and so if you have 2 people on it, then they constitute a quorum, and so you'd have to give notice. I think you're better off with 1 person, frankly, because then you don't have to worry about giving kind of notice to the public and having the press present and taking minutes of what you've done.
Well, then let's make an amendment to that. Mr. Jones be that individual. I, as the mayor, will be more than happy to assist him in any way I can.
I would like to make a suggestion that we do reach out and maybe have Gene with Yates on that committee as well. Ask him to at least have some advisory, because he's going to be servicing these things as well, and just I think he'd have some good input.
Well, Gene's always, he's, you know, if you got questions or something, he'd help you, whether he's on a committee or not on it. He's always been helpful.
I guess for the point of just giving him the direction to, if a question comes up, he has, you know, he's not blindsided. He can work with him, make that decision and get it out pretty quickly. He doesn't need to come back through us with it. That's why I suggest we at least notify him and add him to the,
Well, you need
to
to
the
ask him.
committee.
I mean, I don't even like doing it with Tim not here, which I mean, he's the most qualified to do it, for no doubt. But I mean, it would be something, we can't just put Gene on. Okay.
I understand.
I mean, you know, I'd vote for him in a minute. I mean, you know, I don't have a problem with it, but, and we can do that, but,
Maybe
you
just
know.
talk to him and do it next month.
Or we could just go ahead and pass it, and if he was not able to do it, you could do something else next month. Name someone else next month if he's not able to. It's possible.
I mean, I hate to just assume that he'd do it. I mean, you know, I know he'd help us any way he can. He always has. And like I said, I don't have a problem with him being on the committee by no means. Matter of fact, I'd let him do the committee because he is qualified and he, you know, if anybody is.
May I ask one question for,
Sure.
and this may be for actually the attorney. And I'm all for Gene. I like working with Gene, and he's got a lot of great ideas. I'm for him being on the committee. However, I do think it would be good to ask him how much involvement can Yates have with the design before they potentially are conflicted out of being able to bid on the project. And if that would, we wouldn't want to, I think we would love to have Yates on the project. They're a qualified contractor in the area. I don't think we would want to inadvertently.
So as part of the grant process, we had to submit that we had a conflict of interest policy as a town. I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a really good point.
I don't know the answer to it.
No, you're right. And Gene and I have had these discussions. He'd be the first to tell you, you know, that becomes an uncomfortable situation from time to time.
Why don't we just put Tim on it and then let Tim, he can pick somebody or whatever, and, you know, if, I mean, he might, I don't know what he'd want to do, but,
That's fine.
that way we won't, you know, I mean, he can be the, you know, and I'm assuming that Tim, you know, he's not here, so, you know, we can do that, but.
Okay. Did you make the motion, Mike?
I amended yours. So the motion basically is,
I'd like to withdraw the motion and hear just a new motion.
okay, make the new motion.
I'm not gonna make a new motion.
You're not going to make a new motion.
No, go for it.
The motion is to appoint Councilman Tim Jones as the liaison with Hazen and Sawyer for the new extension of the water lines. Does that get it?
Yeah. I'd like to make an amendment that if he's willing to do it.
Provided he's willing, okay, I accept that amendment.
Just do it on the assumption we're not sitting here.
Well, you know, this is what happens when you don't show up to a board meeting, you get elected secretary.
Well, I know, I showed up, one got elected and didn't even vote for it. You know, so, I mean, I know how it is, but I don't want, you know, I just like to add that as a courtesy.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Citizens' comments from the floor.
Mr. Chairman,
sorry.
I don't think we've approved, I don't think you've actually approved the contract.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And my suggestion would be, with regard to the letter that, that Aaron's referred to, the letter he's talking about is required by the town to send to anybody who's gonna be, whose property is
Affected.
gonna have the easement may be running near their owner, near their property. And so, my suggestion would be, has to come from the town. It would probably, in the draft I've seen, would have on town letterhead with Robbie sending it out.
Robbie or me, do I need to sign it?
Either one of you could sign it.
Okay.
It's fine, but just know that you may get pushback from that, so I think the town needs to be aware that that's going on, and I would suggest, because of time constraints, you may want to consider not only approving this agreement, but also authorizing the staff to send a letter out to the affected property owners.
Okay,
so
we
they
need,
can begin surveying.
I would like to be real careful with our wording. The easement already exists, is this correct? Because it'll be installed into the DOT right-of-way that's already exists in front of any homes, I believe.
That is the intent. So what this letter does is, but before a surveyor or any body that's associated with a future utility project, the North Carolina General Statute requires you to send out a 30-day notice before those individuals can access private property.
Absolutely.
As a utility, you have the ability to do so, not to take it over, not to put an easement on it, not to install a water line on it, but just to investigate the possibilities of doing so. But there is a 30-day notice. And so what the letter we're talking about is to send that notice out. It will have a return letter that the property owner could return digitally or by mail that gives us the authority to do so prior to the 30 days running out. But this is really just I like to say it a courtesy letter, but it's really not. It is a letter meeting the North Carolina General Statutes. As part of our service and as part of our proposal, we will send those letters on behalf of the town, but it does need to be on town letterhead, issued by someone with the authority to do so at the town. The third part of that is a map of the potential properties that could be impacted by the water line. So essentially, it's every property on both sides of the road, down Coldwater Road and NC 65. Now, to answer the question you asked me, I think, because I don't think I have, the intent, there is fee simple NC DOT right-of-way on both of those roads. Most likely, and I think this is because most property owners are unaware that they don't own to the edge of the roadway, right? When the DOT, although they maintain it, but when the DOT has a fee simple right-of-way there. So, and we want to find where their property corners are. We want to find if they've got a driveway culvert pipe and any kind of wall or anything, retaining wall or anything that's supporting the driveways. Any of that we want to capture in the survey, right? Because we want to have as little impact with the project as possible. So, but most importantly, we need to know where their property corners are, which requires us to be on their property, so that we can get those on the drawings and make sure the contractor stays off of it. So the intent is to not have any easements. There is the potential to have maybe temporary easements in the locations just for construction, where the contractor may need a bit more room if there's something confining the space. But I don't suspect that we would need any permanent easements for that water line in the future.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
Kim, you had a question?
Yeah, I have a statement, an answer, and a question. My statement is, I have the contract right in front of me for the Guilford County contract that we're talking about. I have skimmed it up and down, up and down. I don't see any encumbrance date. However, to answer your question, it's 12/31/2026. My question is.
26?
Yes, per this. My question is, I understand we have to have the money spent, but does that mean the project has to be finished? I'm just, because I can't find that anywhere. Huh?
I mean, does it have to be,
This says that this is terminated, this is done 12/31/2026.
For the money to be spent or encumbered?
Okay.
It's not giving me that, that's what I'm,
I think, okay.
it's not giving me that answer.
I think because this was a grant
I thought it was
from
24 encumbered.
from the county and not the federal government, it's already been encumbered.
Right.
Isn't that what they said?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Guilford County has encumbered the funds from the federal government.
Yes, okay, so
by giving it to the town of Stokesdale.
But to Kim's point, we still have to have it spent by 12/31/26.
But does that
Now,
mean
we-
the
Yes.
project
we-
has to
we
be
could-
finished?
If it wasn't finished,
Pay it?
if it wasn't finished, couldn't we always do an escrow account and pay the money into the escrow account?
We have to give this back if it's not on.
Now, I'm speculating. I would imagine any towns doing utility projects with ARPA money, given supply chain issues and everything else, there's probably gonna be an extension, but do I know that? Absolutely not. Does it make sense that it would? But yeah, but I mean, that's well down the road. Right now, the black and white says
Yep.
it needs to be spent, so the implication of that is it needs to be completed by 12/31/26. And, yeah.
But the history of all these extensions they've been given, I hear you.
Well, I mean, we gotta get started. Or we ain't gonna get it spent.
Yeah, yeah,
You
but I
know.
mean, you know, if we can be under contract in fall of '24, you've got 2 full years to complete the project, and
Yeah.
somehow, you know,
And I would assume there'd be progress payments during that construction period, so it's not like it's all or nothing, so you could.
right.
And we are doing, we're doing, Coldwater Road 65, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the agreement with Hazen and Sawyer for the professional services related to water line extension to add system redundancy.
Second that motion.
Any discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Foy? Mr. Landrith? Aye. And I am also aye. Citizens' comments? Anyone want to speak?
I'd like to speak as a citizen.
All right, we are, just a second.
Well, before we leave that topic, Mr. Mayor, do you want to authorize the staff to go ahead and prepare and send the letter out?
I think we did that before we accepted the contract, did we not?
I don't think
I
so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We authorized Tim to,
All right.
And,
Oh, okay, that's right.
and one thing I would suggest, just to be aware too, so there may be surveying done, there may be borings done pursuant to this letter after the 30-day notice is sent. And the statute provides that if there's any damages done to the people's property, the town is on the hook for that.
Does that need to be put in the letter?
I think it'll be included, it's gonna be done to say, we're gonna do our best to avoid any damages. But the town, I don't know if we necessarily put that.
who's writing the letter?
Robbie, do you feel comfortable writing this letter?
Aaron's right.
Mr. Babson's already provided a fairly good draft of the letter, so if there's any changes we need to make, I'm sure we can make
All
them,
right, well, yeah.
but it looks really good. He's emailed it to me, and I've looked over it while you all were discussing it, and it touches on just about everything you've discussed, so.
I make a motion that we send this letter out a minimum of 30 days prior to any work beginning.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
And I'm also aye. Let me take care of a couple of announcements, and then we're going to go into closed session. Council announcements, the Town of Stokesdale Planning Board meeting scheduled for Thursday, September 28th, has been canceled. Town Council will meet again, the regular meeting Thursday, October 12th, 7 p.m. in the Town Hall, located where we are. I, Mayor Crawford, would like to make a motion that the Stokesdale Town Council move into closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with the attorney employed or retained by the Stokesdale Town Council in order to preserve the in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the Stokesdale Town Council. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Mr. Foy?
Aye.
Mr. Landrith?
Aye.
And I am aye. I was gonna say, who's gonna bring the pig in?
Order the, you hot water thing for the concession.
Oh, really?
About 500 cups of hot chocolate.
Oh, that'd be the perfect football ground.
I'll make a motion that we reconvene in open session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Rigsby?
Aye.
Ms. Foy?
Aye.
Ms. Landrith? And I am aye.
I'm sorry, I can't recall, did we offer closing comments or public comments?
We did.
Okay.
We did. We're down to council comments. Mr. Rigsby?
I have no comment tonight.
Mr. Foy?
No comment. Have a good week, gentlemen. Thank
Mr.
you all for being
Landrith?
here.
I've said all I want to say tonight.
I think I'm there too. Thank you very much, folks, for being here.
Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
About a second.
Oh, second.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Have a good evening, Chuck.
Yes, you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thanks,
did.
Derek.
Not yet,
Nobody,
Paul.
came with any weapons to use on me.
No, bro, you're in good company here.
Hey, I do want to know something. This
What's
is gonna be probably the dumbest question you answered. What does the initials on the document mean?
That's who typed it.